Hello student, in this video I am going to discuss about three terms. One is time series data, second one is outlier data, and third one is missing value. So what is time series data? You can go through this paragraph. Suppose when we analyze time series variables, summary measures such as mean, standard deviations, charts such as histograms, box plots are often don't make much sense. Our main interest in time series variable is how this changes over time. This is the main important part of this data. How the variables changes over time, and this information is lost in traditional summary measures and in histogram of box plots. Imagine, for example, that you are interested in daily closing prices of a stock that has historically between 20 to 60. And if you create a histogram with a bin such as 45 to 50, you will get a count of daily closing price in this interval, but you won't know when they occurred. Okay, so that is the drawback of histogram drawing, but that histogram is missing a key feature, that is time. Histogram is missing with a key feature, that is time. Similarly, if you report the mean of a time series such as monthly Dow Jones average over the past 40 years, you will get a measure that is then very relevant and for the current and future values of Dow. So therefore we turn a very different but very intuitive type of graph that is called time series graph, where the time is important. We'll see through this data through different type of time series graph. Here you can see this first data set, or this is the first graph. Here you can see always in time series data that axis will be belong to time, and this axis will be belong to the data we have or the variable we have. Like here you can see the two variable. One is violent crime total per crime data, and next one is high blue, that is low blue, property crime total. Okay, so per crime data. So using this timeline we know at what year how the values change, but if we plot the histogram data then we might not get this idea. Okay, and second, in this chart we can see how the population time series of population per crime data is changing till date throughout this timeline. Okay, population per crime data is increasing in this timeline, but why did this occur? Okay, one compelling reason was suggested by Levitt and Dobner in their popular book Freakonomics. You can read their somewhat controversial analysis to see if you agree. Okay, you can find in this reference. And again there is another graph, that is violent crime rate per crime data and property crime rate per crime data. So you can see in this all type of graph how that data and variables are related with time, and we can see the changes occur in that time. Okay, in that way we can analyze the data in a different perspective, with the perspective of time. This is also this chart contains four different type of variable or four different type of measurements in same timeline. Okay, these are like aggravated assault per crime data, robbery per crime data, rape per crime data, murder and non negligent manslaughter crime data. So these are different type of crime data over the time, but these are different type of variables. So in this way we can represent the time series data, and this type of data is very helpful in predicting the trend or predicting the future value by analyzing time series data, because we have the knowledge about the data of the past and what is happening in the timeline. So we can say what will happen in the future by analyzing this data or the trend of this data. So that in that way time series helps us to predict the future. So second topic is about outlier, and the third is missing values. An outlier is literally a value or an entire observation that lies well outside of the norm. So we can call outlier literally as an anomaly, or which is not fitted in the general model. Okay, suppose in the previous video we have discussed about mean, median and all. In that case we have discussed through an example of baseball data set, where you can see the salary of Alexis Rodriguez was this much, and which is believed to be an outlier because that is too much, because all other players get very lesser salary than, or you can say there is a huge gap between other players salary and Rodriguez salary, so it's become an extreme value. Okay, so here you can see, let's just agree to define outlier as extreme values, and then for any particular data set you can decide how extreme value needs to be qualified as an outlier. Okay, but to mention a variable or a value as an outlier, we need to analyze that value first, because there might be various type of attribute containing with that value. Though one or two value of that attribute or of that variable might be high, but that might not be outlier. Sometimes an outlier is easy to detect and deal with. For example, this is often the case with data entry error. Suppose the dataset includes a height variable. A person's height measures in inches, and you see the value as to 720. So in that case, you can directly say that this is outlier, or this is an error, or this is an anomaly. But this is certainly an outlier. But if sometimes careful check of the variable, one variable at a time, will not reveal any outliers, but there is still might unusual combination of values. For example, it would be strange to find a person with age equal to 10 and height equal to 72. Neither of these value is unusual by itself, but the combination is certainly unusual, because a boy or a girl of age 10, it is very much impossible or become very much irrelevant to become a 72-inch height. But that this looks like unusual, but we need to go for more other studies so that we can say that this is outlier. So we need to check it very carefully. Okay, the values of that variable, and again this would probably be result of a data entry error, but it would be harder to spot. So that is why in research or to analyze the data, or to in business scenario also, it is very much important to find the outliers or the errors or the anomalies. Okay, because this might gives you a bad result in, or bad track in prediction. Okay, so you need to find out these things so carefully, or might be you find it very easily depending upon that outlier. Okay, and third one is missing value. So missing value is actually simple. In literally you can say that missing value. Here you can see most real data sets have gaps in the data. This could be because a person did not want to provide all the requested personal information, or it could be because data does not exist. Okay, sometimes data might not exist. Okay, suppose stock prices in 1990s for companies that went public after 2000s. So before going to public, there was, though they are running, but they are not maintaining the data. So those value will be missing, and or it could be become because some values are simply unknown. Whether the reason you will undoubtedly encounter data sets with varying degrees of missing values. Then, if the missing values number of missing values is higher in a data set, then it will be very much problem to analyze the data. And so this is a very interesting research topic in this kind of analytics, because we need to not only try to find out the missing values, but we need to replace those missing values with suitable values. Suppose in some cases, or in very much cases, people try to use some decoy value or dummy value, suppose like this one, suppose like minus, or suppose like dash star, but that would not provide a good result. Okay, because these are like random numbers, or is this just a number which might not give a fruitful insight in the data. But if you do some research, and suppose you put some average of the values in that cell of missing value, suppose you put some other techniques to find the missing values, so in that way you can find the missing values, and it is a very nice topic to research. Okay, how to find the missing values? You can find lots of research publications in research fields in various search engines. So I just encourage you to go through that, because it is very much important, because any data sets might contain lots of missing values, and if it become more, then it might create very unwanted results in the model, and thus it will lead to many very bad accuracy of the model or the analysis result. So in to remove these things, to nullify this missing value problem, we need to insert some value. So that is why what to insert, how to insert, that the question then the question arises, and that in that way we can in this in we can, or we need to move we need to misplace or replace this missing value with actual or near real value. Okay, or near desired value. So that's it for today's video. If you have any doubt also, please ask me and go through these things. Okay, we'll talk few more topics like this in next video. Thank you.